Welcome in to Stop the Takes. Dakota and Austin here live on YouTube for what we are now pegging as the Us versus the Takes show. Welcome in. We living up to our name. This is our show to combat the hot takes that are dominating the sports discourse. As you see on the thumbnail, everyone knows the culprits. Yeah, that is what we're here for. And doing our week picks against the spread today. That's what our Thursday shows are going to be. We did those previews originally, but having a little bit more fun with these Thursday shows leading into Thursday Night Football and into the weekend with our recaps on Mondays. So excited to listen to some horrible takes for the most part and break them down and actually add nuance and context to stuff, man. How we doing?
Yeah, I'm excited to do that as well. We got some good ones this week to go over. Got some picks to make. NFL Week 4. Let's go, man.
Let's do it. Yeah, it was already week 4. We were already encroaching on a fourth of the way through the season almost. So that's it's awesome and it's sad at the same time.
Sure.
Yeah. So, all right. So what we're gonna do is we did this before, but we're gonna pull up. We'll show you all a clip, or listen in if you were a listener, which we have one of. But listen to what that take is, and then we're gonna dissect it. So. We're going to start off here with a guy who we may rename this episode
to the Ryan Clark segment.
The Ryan Clark segment is very well what this could become. But we're going to start with a clip of Ryan Clark. This was from the week before, so not from this weekend. But we didn't get a chance to talk about it, and we need to talk about it. So Ryan Clark talking about Ashton Jeanty.
All right, here we go.
What's Ashton Jeanty's it factor? Because when you got it, and it pops. We see it at some point. Mm-hmm. Fred Taylor had it. LaDainian Tomlinson had it. Mm-hmm. Adrian Peterson, Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson. We saw it. Right. You saw it early. Even if the statistics didn't say, oh, he rushes for 100.
Well, Bijan was seeing.
Right, it was something early. Right. Where's Ashton Jeanty's? Ashton Jeanty doesn't have that it factor. And I don't think this is a load management thing. I think this is a production thing. This is a pop thing. I remember when Trent Richardson was going to Cleveland. I'm an SEC guy. I'm telling Coach T.
So that's pretty much it, right? He goes on to compare him to Trent Richardson, which is an interesting comp. Yeah, man, it's just this one was probably the first one we found this week, right? And we talked about it a little bit. What awful analysis from a guy who played in the league. All he had to say was about Ashton Jeanty is, oh, he just doesn't have it. He just doesn't have it. That's all he brought to the table is he doesn't have the it factor, which he doesn't even go on to really define what that is and what that actually means. And obviously the big part of this, he's leaving out a ton of context, which I believe you'll get into. But it kills me. It's that's all he's got to say is he doesn't have it. And then doesn't go on to define what it is, and then just repeats himself 4 times. That's what the clip is.
Yep, and this was after 2 weeks of football, by the way. This was after 2 weeks because this was before the games this weekend. He had seen 2 weeks of Ashton Jeanty behind one of the worst run blocking offensive lines in the NFL, and was like, "I'm out." He doesn't have it. He's not good at football. He's just not. Whatever we saw in college didn't matter. Whatever we've seen him do on the field doesn't matter. He's not popping. And it's I would love for him to define what that means, because if him trucking dudes and literally being 11th in the NFL in yards after contact as a rookie isn't an it factor, isn't pop, then I don't know what is. I would like for him to tell me what it is, because I think outside of the offensive line play, Jeanty has looked good.
Yeah,
he hasn't looked that different. He hasn't had an explosive run yet or anything, which is fine. But again, we were 2 weeks into the dude's career, and we're making these sweeping statements.
And even after 3 weeks into his career, he still has negative yards before contact. So that means overall in the season, he's getting hit in the backfield more so than he's getting holes opened up for him. That's how bad the Raiders' offensive line is. And if we were having a truly intelligent conversation about the Jeanty situation, it would be, okay, what does this mean for running back value in the draft, which has been a topic of conversation in football for a long time. But this is another example of a guy who was taken in the top 10 by a team that doesn't have a great offensive line and hasn't had a good run blocking offensive line for a few years. And I said on last show that a lot of people attributed that to the running backs. They said, listen, Zamir White just didn't have it or whatever. He wasn't good, which I think was fair. That was a fair assessment. But the biggest driver in running back success is offensive line play. And so when you take one in the top 10, you're really expecting that running back to fix your running play and fix your running production, which can blow up in your face a lot, man, because you don't have the infrastructure for him to do so. And that's what's happening with Jeanty. It's not the fact that Jeanty has forgotten how to play football. And I would have loved to see, like, was Ryan Clark saying this before the draft? Were you saying this before he got drafted, when he was in the Heisman conversation? Because I highly, highly doubt those conversations were taking place at the time. And it really goes back to, Dakota, the last thing I'll say about it is it goes back to the Penn State game in the playoff. Like, no one thought after that game, anyone who watched the game and didn't box score watch, and actually knows football, saw that game and said, okay, this wasn't a Jeanty problem. This was Penn State selling out to stop the run, and Boise State doesn't have a backup plan. Their plan was Ashton Jeanty. And when you're stacking 8 guys in the box, it's very hard for a running back to really add a ton of production to that. Even though Jeanty was really good against Penn State, he actually forced a lot of missed tackles. And that's, he hasn't been as good in the NFL yet, but it's been a lot of the same. He's forcing missed tackles. He's, doing what he's done throughout college. The only problem is he has probably the worst run back blocking offensive line in the entire NFL.
Literally, and to your point on that, he is 4th in the NFL per PFF for missed tackles forced right now. 4th, tied for 4th, funnily enough, with fellow rookie Amarian Hampton, who also is behind an offensive line that has been struggling, run blocking specifically. So again, it's like the correlation there is it slaps you in the face that poor offensive line play, forcing missed tackles, yards before contact, yards after contact. Average yards before contact of where you were getting at. So yeah, it's ridiculous to make the sweeping statements after just 2 games in general. But
yes,
yeah,
that's
missing
another thing.
missing all of the context of what you just broke down in terms of how much offensive line play plays a role. And the funny thing is, we are fresh. We did a video on this too. Remember, we did this video on 2024 free agent running backs from last year, which were primarily Saquon and Derrick Henry were the big 2. And both of them had literally, Derrick Henry had the 2nd best season of his career. Saquon had by far the best of his career. And it's not a coincidence that they were suddenly behind better offensive line play. And Saquon's career, he started off pretty good. I mean, he averaged like 5 yards a carry his rookie year. The offensive line was better then, and then it started to teeter off. He got injured a little bit, and then, literally his last season before going to Philadelphia last year, in 2023, he averaged less than 4 yards a carry. Are we saying that he didn't have it then? He didn't have the pop then because he wasn't doing it, or not? So
it's a great point, man. I mean, they are the best examples and the most recent examples, and that's why I can't understand why we can't learn from those examples. I mean, you have Giants fans like being upset that they've gotten rid of Saquon Barkley. It's like Saquon would have never rushed for 2,000 yards with your team. He just would not have. He did it behind the Eagles offensive line. Now, it doesn't take away from the greatness of Saquon Barkley. It just speaks to truly unlock a great running back, you need a good offensive line. You need a good, at the very least, an average offensive line, which the Raiders do not have at the moment with Ashton Jeanty. And that's why he's averaging negative yards per, after or before contact, which is like, that's unheard of. And he's the only running back in the league that's the case for, by the way.
Right now, yeah.
So again, you can say, well, there's a speed factor to that, but it's mostly an offensive line issue. So yeah, man, it's just, and to your other point too, Dakota, I want to mention, sample size, man, sample size. Like Derrick Henry wasn't good for a year and a half into his career. Like he wasn't good for a year. Like
he was getting written off.
Exactly. Yeah. He didn't truly become King Henry until late into his 2nd season in NFL. And to your Saquon point, I mean, there was a couple years after his rookie year where people thought Saquon was a bust, which, I would have never taken Saquon number 2 overall, not because Saquon's not a great player. It's because of that position and the reliance it has on the offensive line. So, yeah, man, it's crazy to come to that conclusion. I didn't even realize it was before the third game. I thought it was actually after the third game. But either way, it's like even if it's 2 games, 3 games, or an entire year into his career, that's an insane conclusion to come to with such a small sample.
Yeah, and to your point too earlier, like it's almost like he hasn't watched, because the whole like getting contacted in the backfield, your point on the speed thing or whatever that people want to bring up. It's like if you're watching the Raiders play, if you've watched Genty play, you see that he is literally getting hit by like 4 people, in the backfield, and then he'll break 2 of those tackles is the thing. But yeah, it's unfortunate because again, to your point too, with like the narrative around running backs and drafting them, it doesn't seem like teams, and it's insane that they can't learn this, that like an elite running back is not going to change your run game. It's just not. And as we've seen, an elite running back can become, a massive catalyst to explosive offensive play when you have an elite offensive line,
exactly,
or even just a really good one. But yeah, and I think my last thought on this too is just it's unfortunate that this is already being said, right? Like people are already trying to act like Genty's not good. But the worst part is that we don't know when it's going to get better.
True.
Because to your point, their offensive line is not good, and it's going to take some work to get it there. So
he might look like a bust at the Raiders. It's all about the order of operations when we're talking about running back. You have to get the O-line in shape before you add that difference-making running back. And, it's the revisionist history is going to happen. And honestly, at the time we were questioning the Raiders taking Genty, but not because Genty was the problem. It's because of the situation with the Raiders and the needs that they have, because this is a team. I mean, let's not forget where they're at in the draft, Dakota. They could have had Tedero McMillan, and look how he's been playing. And it has nothing to do with the 2 players. Again, it's the situation, what they could have used, and the guy that can make an impact with the situation around him there. So,
and the next pick was Mimbu as well.
Yeah.
Who
exactly.
also would be helping a lot right now for whoever the running back is in the future.
Good point. And we were saying these things at the time. We thought the first great landing spot was Chicago, because what did Chicago do during the offseason? They went and completely rebuilt the interior of their offensive line. And although they haven't really lived up to the billing yet, it looked like a lot better offensive line on paper than the Raiders.
For sure. Absolutely. Yep. So we'll see for Genty, but yeah, classic terrible take from Ryan Clark there.
Our weekly Ryan Clark segment.
He will. I mean, I'd be shocked if he doesn't make it on here every week. I'm going to be honest. All right, let's move on to where Saquon landed. With the Philadelphia Eagles, Mad Dog on First Take, giving his thoughts on the tush push.
Oh, Mad Dog. Here we go.
I wish it almost got turned down this year. I can't stand the play. I hate that's a rugby play. I hate that play. I can't stand it. It's not football. Push. Oh, that play drives me crazy.
Are you serious?
I hate the play. I've said it forever. I hate the play. You never saw Brady do that. Nobody was better on
Yes,
fourth.
you did see
He
Brady
was
do
great
it.
on 4th and 1. He never did a tush push.
Oh, my God.
Push. Nobody pushed his fanny to get the first down. Crying out loud. That's ridiculous.
His fanny.
Push. This clip is funny. I will say that. That clip is funny. I will say, though, the one thing that really stood out to me about this clip is Jeff Saturday made a good point, because the quarterback sneak is as aesthetically unpleasing as the tush push. Like, there's really nothing. I get the penalty argument, but that's a completely different argument. If you want to make that argument, that's completely different than what the play actually looks like. The only other argument I would really listen to is the frequency, because even though Brady was like a QB sneak savant, if you will, the frequency wasn't there. Like, the tush push is used like 5 to 10 times a game, which is a lot.
Now that's a really good point, because Brady was very good at the quarterback sneak, because he was one of the only guys that like was actually good at finding the hole.
Yes,
exactly. And a lot of guys who have tried it, you'll watch them, and there's been fumbles from it, or they just smack into a wall and fall over. But yeah, I think this one was a funny one. I had to include it because it cracked me up, because I will say I'm almost on the side of anti tush push, but But the thing is, his perspective on it is purely being like an aesthetic thing, and like, that being the issue with it is funny to me. I think
You really can't make that argument in sports. Like, you can't say we can't use a play because it doesn't look good.
No, that's a ridiculous. I mean, let's remember too. This sport started with, as we became, forward pass, receivers lined up in a 3-point stance. By the way, you know how disgusting that would be to watch every Sunday.
Exactly, dude.
But yeah, I think my argument against it would just be like the idea of pushing players forward. But the thing is, you would have to make the rule very specific of basically being like quarterback driven or something, because I don't want that to go away. I mean, one of the best plays in football is when a running back gets hit, stonewalled a bit, and the offensive line just finishes the job into the end zone. I mean, that stuff is grit, and you love to see it. And at the end of the day, people have tried to replicate it. I forgot who it was this Sunday, but somebody did basically do the tush push. But I think at the end of the day, the thing that is the unstoppable factor of it is Jalen Hurts and his strength. I mean,
and their penalties they commit on the play as well.
That doesn't help. Yeah. So like, if you can false start and line up in the neutral zone, and that's the thing. If you're gonna, the news that happened leading into this weekend, which who was it that got penalized for it?
Yes, I texted you about this. This was on Sunday, was it not? Was it the
It might have been
Saints? No.
It might have been the Saints in the Seahawks game. I think you're right.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, because I texted you about this. I'm like, wait, they're penalizing this team? And this was on NFL Sunday. This wasn't even college football.
Yes.
So come on. Like, if you're going to penalize other teams, we have to penalize the Eagles as well. And I don't know, maybe it's just like one of those things where they see it so much with Philadelphia, so they're kind of like not looking for it as much. It's very weird, but you have to call the rules, like how they're supposed to be called with the play. That would be my biggest issue with it. And I agree with you and Mad Dog. It's not something I love to watch. It's not something like I'm like, oh yay, the Eagles are tush pushing for the 8th time this game. Let's go. But I also agree with your point that I don't want pushing to go away in football because, like you said, those are grit plays and things like that. But it's also, you don't want to lose the foundation of this sport. That was the foundation. Rugby was the foundation of the sport, if you will. And it's not like it's a big part of the game, but I don't want it to completely go away because the tush push. Like, I feel like there's other ways we can at least call this play fairly, rather than just completely outlaw it.
And I feel like it becomes difficult. Yeah. Like, you'd have to just ban that play specifically. But even then, it's like, how do you do that? Because it's got to fit within the confines of the rule book. And if it's like, you can't push the quarterback while he sneaks specifically, or, how push driven it is or whatever. But what I will say that's also interesting about it, I agree. I mean, I don't like watching it. If I'm an Eagles fan, I would probably love it because I know if we get to 3rd and 2, we're tush pushing twice, first down. We're good.
Yep.
Like, short yardage situations are not a concern at all. But what is interesting about it is it's like, I can't remember in my time of like watching the NFL or even college football, something like this happening where defenses haven't figured it out. Because like when the Wildcat came on is what I immediately think about. And their first season with Ronnie Brown and Ricky Williams, like teams were just in a blender, and then they figured it out, and it got stuffed, and they couldn't even really run it. It's been rare to see something like this where it's like, how do defenses stop it?
Yeah, that's a great point. I will say though, like the QB sneak itself is a very dominant play. It's like an 80% success rate play. Yeah. But I think, like you said, there's so many factors with the Eagles that kind of pushed them over the top. It's their line, and it's also specifically Hurts. And he's a really good QB sneaker, and he's really strong, and he can drive the line. And see, that's the thing. I don't know how much of the push element is really a huge factor there. It is a factor. There's no question, but I don't know how much of a huge factor it is. And my point in saying that is, the Eagles will just run a different variant of the quarterback sneak when it's outlawed. So it's not like you're going to completely stop seeing Eagles games. It might not be as frequent and it might not be as dominant, but it's not going away. And that's kind of Jeff Saturday's point. It's like, we've been seeing the QB sneak for years. It's just, it's just slightly different and maybe slightly less successful.
That's a really good point. I would love to see like somebody, all the data people out there that would love to just break down and see like how many tush pushes were first downs before the push even happened. Like you could make the judgment call looking at it, like he did not need the push to be able to get it. And I do think it'd be a large portion of them. I wouldn't be surprised if like 3/4 of them coming back to the variance of just 80% rather than the like 98
Exactly.
or whatever
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
at. So
Yeah, it is ridiculously dominant, but it's hard to punish a team because we all kind of agree that Hurts
Yeah.
plays a huge role in that. It's like that's part of his skill set, and it's kind of hard to punish a team just because of that.
and it's a very good point too, because it is, yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, it is the defense's job to stop the offense. Like
Yep.
it just is. Like, and
Like you said
people
with the
gotta figure it out.
Wildcat, they got to figure it out.
Yeah, and they were confused. It reminds me of like semi-pro when like they invented the alley oop. You know, it was like that moment of with the Wildcat where like, can they do this?
Yeah, exactly. Is this legal? Well, you know what every team needs? They need their Troy Polamalu, man. That was the QB sneak
Boom.
killer. Troy Polamalu flying over the line.
And what's funny is I've yet to just see defenses like completely mirror it because some have maybe tried, but they always jump over too much. I feel like they have the variant play, right? Like they've done the pitch out of it and stuff,
Yeah,
which is very
sure.
smart. But I do think that the most plausible way to stop it is literally to just run the tush push back at them with
Yeah,
your own line.
that's
You know,
smart.
like you're just
Yeah,
pushing
exactly.
against each other.
Exactly. Yeah. Have Nick Bolton just push Chris Jones in the ass so
Yep.
that they can stop it. That would be great.
I mean, honestly, again, like, well, actually, this weekend they get the Bucks, right?
yeah.
So I want
dude.
Vita Vea getting just
Dude, apparently the Bucks were thinking about activating old God, what is that kid's name?
Oh,
The Florida
Desmond?
kid. Yes, Desmond. The 400-pound Florida kid, dude. They're thinking about activating him just to stop that tush push.
just put him sideways. Just put him sideways like a roadblock.
Ugh.
Oh man. Yeah, this one, you know, it's a take, but not
It's a
a
fun
horrible
one.
one. Mad
Yeah,
Dog
it's a
has had
fun
some
one.
terrible stuff. It was a fun one, yeah. Now we'll get into a division rival.
Okay.
And this one is a little interesting. I know Eagles fans will definitely get a kick out of this one. So this is it was kind of a conversation here, but Cam Newton's point about what he thinks the Cowboys are capable of.
Oh, Cam.
I
Here we
can't
go.
let you say that. You in your heart think they're a playoff.
I'm about to say, I hear a lot of ifs,
I do.
ands, buts,
Give me-
maybe.
so-
I don't. You can't be a playoff team.
Come on in
with
here,
all the
Nina.
You think-
caveats.
come
on in here,
I'm
bro.
just
You
saying.
think
There's all
they're
the
better than Green Bay?
caveats.
Is it tired?
Something wrong.
Huh? You think they're better than Green Bay?
Wild card, bro.
You think they're better than Green Bay?
No.
You think they're better than the Rams?
Cam been smoking too
no.
many cigars.
You think they're better than San
Something wrong.
Francisco?
Can be.
Hoover.
Yes,
You,
can be.
you think they can be better than San Francisco? San Francisco was skunked them.
That's
You think they're
wild
better than
card, bro.
Minnesota?
Yes.
You see wild card.
Stop, man.
Wow.
Dallas and Minnesota?
Minnesota will beat them by 17.
No, they won't. Not with J.J. McCarthy, bro. Are you serious?
Did you watch
J.J.
it?
McCarthy catch strays.
Probably.
I know, dude.
J.J. McCarthy.
Cam, you don't think they're better than the Vikings?
By 17.
Cam, they
Bro, have
can't
you
stop
watched this
anybody.
defense?
They can't stop anybody, Cam.
Stephen A's not cooking.
Have a bad defense.
I
Not even
understand
a bad
that.
defense, a terrible
But
defense.
what week is this, I mean?
You're right. You're right.
Thank you.
You're right.
What week is this,
It
Dan?
is only week 3.
That's what I'm
It is only
saying.
week 3. You're
You
right.
know this caveat in the NFL. It's not about who's most talented. It's about who gets hot at the right time.
Who you going to bank on that defense to improve on?
Can I tell you something?
That last point. That last point kills me. Cam's point is, well, it's all about who gets hot at the right time, even though he has no evidence that Dallas is going to get hot at any time. None at all. Like, we see nothing from the Cowboys to say, oh, they're going to get hot towards December. But Cam's point is, well, anyone can get hot towards the playoffs, so they're going to make the playoffs. I am willing to bet, Dakota, that Cam Newton tunes into 0 hours of NFL Sunday. That's my guess. 0 hours. Thoughts?
I agree. I think there's no way he's not just shopping for clothes. And like his stylist sending him different ideas for him to show up on Monday morning show, right?
Yeah.
To be on Get Up and First Take and stuff. He's just getting sent different cartoon. What was it? Somebody said it looks like a cartoon cat. The way a cartoon cat would dress.
Exactly. Yeah. I think Shane Gillis said that.
Yeah. But yeah, also the other funny part about that too is it's like, well, if they're freaking 4-9 and then they get hot, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It's
Also,
irrelevant at that point.
do you think he knows CD's hurt? Do you think he even knows
Probably
that?
not.
Yeah, he has no clue. It's just,
He's out for most likely 2 games as well. So it's like,
yeah, I mean, dude, first of all, the Cowboys defense has looked like bottom 5 in the NFL. I mean, Stephen A was right to bring the defense up, but it's also kills me because Dan Orlovsky actually watches film and he actually, knows football to a decent degree, or a pretty good degree, I would say, and actually watches the games. And Cam Newton, dude, you can just tell when he's on these shows, he didn't watch a single ounce of the games at all. Like, how do you watch the Cowboys get slaughtered by the Bears? I mean, it was the Bears get right game, Dakota. It was the Bears get right game. The Bears the Bears' offense hasn't been right, and their get right game was the Cowboys. How do you watch that on Sunday and come back on Monday and just like die on the hill that the Cowboys are going to be a wild card team? It's just a very weird thing. It's a weird thing to be discussing, and it's even weirder to like stick to your guns.
It is the classic like joke everybody makes about ESPN just talks about LeBron and the Cowboys, and true. It's a good example. Early off of a 17-point loss, they're 1-2, and we're wasting time talking like. It's ridiculous. It was even a conversation, but yeah, I don't know if the ranting, the screaming wild card over and over again, is if like, again, he's not thinking, he hasn't watched enough to know, but it's like there are only 3 wild card spots, and there are a lot of really good looking teams in the NFC right now. So who are they getting in over? And then if you look at their schedule too, it's like they get the Packers this week, which foreshadowing. We may just have nothing but Michael Parsons takes and stuff to cover next week, man. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be great, dude. It's gonna be great. And that's also a barbecue chicken matchup for Micah, dude. Him versus Tyler Guyton. He could break the dang sack record against Tyler Guyton.
It could be a rough night on Sunday Night Football too for old Jerry Jones up in the booth.
And their interior guys are both out, by the way. And they've been using Micah as that 3-tech a lot. Like, Micah is due for a big game against the Cowboys.
I mean, with how the pass rushes look for the Packers in general, it could be an 8+ sack type of game. Dak's usually pretty good at avoiding them, but it could be a lot of just no hope plays that happen. But looking at their schedule, they get some matchups here or there, like the Jets and Panthers, but they've got to play in Denver. They've got the Commanders twice. They get the Eagles again. They have to play the Chiefs, Lions, Chargers, and Vikings. Where are you finding like 8 to 9 wins on this schedule right now?
And they have another problem too, Dakota. If the Ravens are 1-3 after this weekend, I'm still going to believe in the Ravens because they have such a good core of players, and I believed in them preseason, and I have the right to do that because they've been historically good over the last 5 years. The Cowboys have issues that aren't going to be magically fixed. Like, this offensive line isn't going to be magically fixed by week 8. The defense isn't going to be better by week 10. Like, and that's kind of Cam's point. But Cam, he just doesn't know football. He just doesn't know the Cowboys. I don't know, that's insane to say. Like, for me, who's never played football, I'm not an MVP. Cam is not following football currently if he thinks the Cowboys are just magically going to become a better football team, because there's nothing on their roster right now that, or, over the last few years that should point us to that.
Yeah, and I think it happens more in the next one, but it's always rough when Stephen A is making good points.
I know, dude.
And he was like, they can't stop anyone. And they can't. They just gave up 37 points to Russ, who got benched immediately after the following week. And I will say their season has been interesting because it's like week 1, I'd say we were all impressed, right? Like, they came out and looked good against the Eagles, but then you give up 37 and have to beat the Giants in overtime at home. And then you just get destroyed by a Bears team that hadn't looked good at all. Like, it's starting, if anything, to look like week 1 may have been a fluke, or the Eagles starting a bit slow. But it's a small sample size still. But again, it's a small sample size that right now points in one direction, and it's a bold decision to just claim that what we've seen is evidence of a playoff team.
And against the Eagles, even their defense didn't look good against the Eagles either. So, I mean, the defense has been a problem and their line didn't look good against the Eagles. And remember, Jalen Carter was ejected that first, before the game even started. So, and like, listen, Dak and CD, that'll take you a long way. And I believe in Dak and CD and even Pickens. Like, that's a solid core, but there are so many other problems with the team, specifically in the trenches, that I just, I have no reason to believe in them. And my biggest problem with the clip, dude, outside of Cam clearly not watching a second of NFL Sunday, is why are they talking about that? There's so many more interesting things to talk about, like how Daniel Jones is playing with the Colts right now, or teams that are actually winning currently, or the Chargers, for example. How much do they talk about the Chargers on that show?
Yeah.
And
Or
they're
the
sitting here-
Bears. Focus on the Bears that
Yeah.
just won that game.
or the Bears who actually just won the football game, and okay, is Ben John have they figured it out, or do they just have a get right game against the Cowboys? Have that debate. That's actually an interesting debate. That's like a big time story. Has Ben Johnson fixed Caleb Williams or whatever? Those things are relevant topics. The Cowboys making the wild card is what? No one wants to talk about that. That's just weird.
And it's like I mean, we'll never know because it would reveal the hand of what these shows are and whatnot. But I would love to know how much of the direction and talking points are handed to them on these shows by ESPN, by the producers, and how much of it is them having to come up with their own things to talk about. I think guys like Skip and Shannon and on True First Take, the OG First Take and what they've done, it felt like it was all them.
Yes,
this is them
agreed.
coming out and saying
Agreed.
stuff. And Stephen A feels like that a lot most of the time too. But with these new era of guys like Cam and Chris Canty, we'll get to, I do wonder how much of it is their own ideas and then how much of it is just things that have been told that we need to push these things.
That's a really good point about Skip and Shannon, because Skip is the godfather of hot takes, and but I can at least respect the fact that it's it's their show and they're actually doing the work and they're coming up with things like that. There's something better about it. At least that's, I don't know. It made for more entertaining television. I think this is just weird. It's Cam clearly it didn't watch the games, and you're debating Cam at the Cowboys. I don't know. It feels like what Cam really was in this clip, Dakota, was, okay, we need somebody in the studio right now to argue with Stephen A that the Cowboys are going to make the playoffs. That's what it felt like. And Cam was just the guy they chose. Cam's really bad on ESPN, man. He needs to watch the football games if they want to bring him back. He's really bad. He's not that entertaining either. I don't know. Maybe you disagree with me, or maybe other people disagree with me, but I don't see the Cam Newton thing. I can see it with Skip and Stephen A. At least I can see that. Cam Newton, I'm just not seeing it, man. He doesn't have it, Dakota.
Quote Ryan Clark, the
He doesn't
pop
have
isn't
it.
there. I think is he on Thursday? I think it's Thursday Night Football is what he's on Prime. And I literally messaged you last week because he was interviewing somebody after the game. I think it was on Thursday Night Football.
Is he on Thursday
And
night? I don't think so.
Because it's on Prime. Maybe it was Monday. I don't remember. It might be Thursday night because that's just
Okay.
the random group. But he was interviewing somebody after the game, and
Okay.
a player. And I messaged you about it because he literally just said random things for about a minute and a half.
Oh yeah.
For
I
the most
remember.
ridiculous
Yes.
question stuff. And it's just it's not entertaining. He's not good.
He's just not good
in
at
that
it.
setting.
He's
No.
not good in that setting. Exactly.
Oh man, I'm sure we'll see more of him as well because he does tend. to
I'd
have
rather
some
hear
stuff he
Cam
likes
on
to
his
say.
podcast talking about the good old days of 2015 and how
Yeah.
unstoppable he was.
Yeah, I would love to see that, and him talking about Luke Kuechly and stuff
Yeah.
too. I want more of that. but-
People talk about Cam Newton like he was the greatest player to ever live, by the way. It's really weird. Cam Newton wasn't that good, by the way. I mean, I'm just being honest. He was really good at Auburn. He was a phenomenal college quarterback. One of the
Oh, yeah.
best I've ever seen. But when he got against athletes that were as good as him or as fast as him, as big as him, he had one good season. That's it.
Yeah, his NFL career could be described by very inconsistent.
Yes.
But yeah, I would. Yeah. All right. What up next? We've got wrapping things up
D-Hen.
here with. Oh man,
this is
this
the
one-
worst. This is the worst one.
this one is the worst. We saved the worst for last.
Yes, we did. With
This
old
one is
Canty.
fun. So Chris Canty, who I think is going to be appearing on this show a lot as
He's-
well. Based on
Yes.
his recent developments on ESPN and on First Take and Get Up, where I've seen him just say just completely random and insane things.
Yeah, Stephen A is passing the torch to Chris Canty. Here we go.
Credit to Detroit Lions when we're having this conversation. But to Stephen A's point, there wasn't a ton of diversity in their run game. It wasn't. I went back.
That's what I'm saying. There's
I went
no
back- I
adjustments.
went back and looked at it, Shay. There was no fair dodging.
Wait a minute,
It was inside zone and it was duo blocking for the majority of the run
But
play,
let's also
and there
point this
wasn't
out.
nothing the
Let's
Ravens
point
could
this
do
out.
about it.
I don't want to see Derrick Henry rushing 12 times for 50 yards. 12 times for 50 yards? Derrick Henry?
Stephen,
What is going on?
you can't give him the ball, Stephen A. You can't trust him with the ball.
Oh, come on,
right
stop
now.
that. You
Can't trust Derrick Henry.
You can trust him.
Can't do it.
Don't go that far. Now you done lost it.
Stephen
You
A.
can't say
Stephen A.
that.
You can't trust him.
say that
You
about
can't
King
trust him
Henry.
right now with the ball.
Excuse me.
You can't
Excuse
trust him right now with the ball.
Did you trust him when he ran for 190 damn yards? Did you do it then? It's
a great point.
Happen. He'll fix it. He's Derrick Henry. Oh, see, if I was him, I'd be very upset with you. I'd be very upset with you right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, again, this is another clip, even more so, that when I see Stephen A making when I'm nodding when Stephen A's talking, it's not a good sign, man. It means he's found his guy. He's found his partner on First Take, and it's probably Canty, because Canty is just, whew, man, he has said some interesting things. Yeah, not saying you can't trust Derrick Henry, who's a first ballot Hall of Famer, who's a top 10 running back to ever walk the planet, who just rushed for damn near 200 against the Bills, by the way. Like, part of the reasons the Bills had to make the comeback was because Derrick Henry was so utterly dominant in that football game. And now he's had two, I know, very consequential fumbles. And Stephen A's the one making the good point, like, hey, that'll probably regress back to the mean. Like, we can't trust the first ballot Hall of Fame running back, who has literally not lost a step whatsoever, by the way, to run the ball anymore. That's an insane thing to say. And Canty, man, he's making a name for himself with the hot takes.
Oh man, he is going to be on here a lot, because we had one on the other one that I had a rant on. Check the Mic, I think, had a different one that he also was doing. Yeah, you can't trust the future Hall of Famer because he's fumbled twice. I just love the idea too. It's just like, because he's fumbled twice, it just guarantees it's going to continue to happen with it. Which, if anything, given how variance works, it kind of points to the opposite. Because
Exactly.
Derrick Henry one fumble over the last 2 years combined, and he has 12 in his career now. Before those two, he had 10 fumbles lost on his career, and now these two detrimental. Can't trust him ever again. It's done.
It's done. Dude, another thing that it does, Dakota, it takes away from the play Aiden Hutchinson made. The second fumble Derrick Henry made, I mean, Aiden made a phenomenal punch out on that play. And I know, like, that's on Derrick Henry. There's a portion of that on Derrick Henry, but let's also give credit to the guy who actually made the play. And it was a really nice play. So, yeah, man, it's just, this is the worst one to me, because Derrick Henry has shown he can play this season. Like, he's had a really good game this season. And, to your point, it's like the fact that he's already fumbled twice tells me, okay, more likely than not, he's not going to do that again. And the fact that Stephen A, of all people, had to make that point on the show is, oh man, hot takes it's getting wild out there, man.
Yeah, when he's having to talk about, like, regression to the mean and whatnot, and yeah, that dark days on ESPN when Stephen A has to be the voice of reason to somebody else on the show.
I'm starting to form a theory, Dakota, that Stephen A is hiring these folks to come on, and now he's trying to move away from the hot takes. He's trying to be the smart guy in the room now, because he's going to start his political career soon. He wants a little political career. So maybe he's trying to, like, boost up people and say, hey, listen, I got Cam Newton on. I'm schooling Cam Newton, okay, former player. I'm schooling Chris Canty. Chris Canty doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm the voice of reason with Chris Canty.
Another former player.
Another former, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So maybe it's like Stephen A's getting hired guns on this show to say really stupid things.
And I mean, he did literally, like, the other day openly admit that. Remember when he was talking that, there was a clip of him basically saying that he has helped quite a few people.
Oh, yeah. Of
at
course.
ESPN
Yep.
get some jobs. So, like, he does have the pull to make it happen, to be like, these are the people I want on this panel with me. So
he's the highest paid ESPN personality. Yeah, he definitely has the pull.
I could definitely see it. And it is crazy, though. It feels like we're, like, in the upside down now. Where I'm having to sit over here being like, yeah, preach, Stephen A. Tell him the truth, man. But yeah, what an insane thing to say is that you can't trust Derrick Henry at the ball right now. Like, I guess it's like it's the yips or a pitcher or something where it's like, yeah, Derrick Henry's just gonna, he's gonna it's like the comebacks. Make too many movie references here, but the comebacks.
No, I like
just literally can't hold on to the ball, and it's just like he's just pounding popcorn before it and everything.
It's genuinely just unlucky variance for Derrick Henry, and it's too and like listen, if you're telling the story how it needs to be told, they played the Bills and they played the Lions, and the Lions torched the Ravens defense, and like even if Derrick Henry doesn't fumble in the Lions game, Dakota, there's no guarantee they win that game. There's no guarantee at all they win that game.
True.
And it also took Josh Allen's, absolutely incredible Herculean effort, MVP level play in the second half of that game to bring the Bills back. So my point is, yeah, there are two very consequential fumbles, but there's other issues with this Ravens team. Plus, they played two really good teams, and that's the reason they're 1-2. Like, if I told you going into the year that they would lose to the Bills and Lions, you wouldn't be like shocked by that. You wouldn't be floored by it. The Ravens are going to be just fine. They had a really tough start to open the year, as far as their schedule is concerned, but they're going to be fine, man. They're going to win that division.
And we do have to point out still too the funny part of the fact that part of what Stephen A was saying too is that like if I was Derrick Henry, I'd be coming after you basically. So he still had that little bit of taking him to be like, I get that fire going on the show.
Yeah.
It can't just be all reason. It's got to be also emotional reaction. And Derrick Henry showing up on Chris Canty's doorstep.
Make it just immediately make it personal. Like it's completely, which I mean, I didn't take Canty's comment as personal. It's just really dumb.
Yeah. There's a difference. There's a difference.
There's a difference.
Oh man. Yeah. We'll be seeing more of Canty. That's for sure.
Him and Clark, the star of the show.
The star. He's going to get the bills paid for us here soon. So I try to have one take or something that I'm going to bring to the show each week that hopefully Austin hasn't seen. Okay. I send him 90% of what I see, so it's hard, but there's a solid chance you did see this. It was from yesterday, so there's less likely. It's a Colin Cowherd thing. So I'm going to preface this by saying the irony in this, the take aspect of it. I think what he's saying here is actually a really good point, but I'll say what the take is, and then I'll explain why it's absolutely hilarious coming from Colin Cowherd. So it's like a 2.5-minute segment he did, and he was talking about CJ Stroud, the year 2 and year 3 quarterback. So CJ Stroud is year 3, Bo Nix is year 2. And it's specifically, he thinks the media is too quick to write off young quarterbacks with the quote of, with young quarterbacks, it's almost entirely circumstantial. You've got to learn the language. You've got to learn the locker room. You've got to learn the league. And he was very much hammering that, like, outside of those top 4 quarterbacks of Burrow, Lamar, Allen, Mahomes, what you are in is much more impactful to how you play and how you develop or whatever than just you as a quarterback. And I think you and I both really agree with that. The hilarious part in this, and why I think this kind of blew up a little bit, is this is literally 1 week removed from Colin Cowherd calling for Tyson Bagent to start over Caleb Williams. The top comment response to this was the SpongeBob meme where he's like, the police and the maniac sign is behind him and he's looking for himself.
The problem with Cowherd is I actually think he is a reasonable guy. Like Skip's not reasonable. Skip, you're not getting reasonable takes from Skip. Colin Cowherd can be reasonable, but he also has to be entertaining, and so he'll throw out that Bagent take, which is insane to say. But yeah, I mean, like that's a fairly good point. Situations around young quarterbacks really do mold them. And we've been talking about specifically with O-line play, how it can break a quarterback. And we're kind of seeing that a little bit with Stroud, and how he's also part of the problem, but he's, everything's the problem with their offensive line. He's the problem. The offensive linemen are the problem. The coaching might be the problem. But that's also making him a worse quarterback overall and hurting his development. So yeah, he made a really good point. It's just, you can't turn around and say that after the Bagent take. Come on, man.
It's because it is hilarious to say, like, he thinks the media is too quick to write off young quarterbacks when you are the media writing off quarterbacks too quickly. So it is just
Yes.
massive
That's so good.
self-awareness lacking moment. But yeah, and his point too is on coaching and stuff. And it's like, again, it is valid because TJ Stroud, they fired Bobby Slowick. He looked great with Bobby. Last year wasn't good. Now they have a new offensive coordinator and things are still struggling. So we had to learn a new system in year 3. I mean, Baker is probably the biggest example you go to when you talk about that because he's had like a new offensive coordinator every year of his career. He
That's
has,
another
like,
thing with
almost
Coward, though. I guarantee he wrote off Baker completely when that man
yeah.
started playing bad because he hated Baker.
Exactly. Yeah, and then which is funny because it would be like your point you're making here. He's kind of the prime example to use for that.
Yeah, exactly.
but-
It's like, okay, we won't listen to you writing off the young quarterbacks early, Colin. All right.
Yeah. And I think that even more so, and he talks about it too a little bit in this, it's just, the organizational aspect of it, man. I mean, you've seen
Yes.
it with Sam Darnold right now.
Yeah.
Like, there are organizations and teams that have just massively failed quarterbacks over and over again. And there's a lot of guys that'd be interesting to go back and look at careers on the what ifs and stuff. Like, if you hand guys who were busts, certain guys like a Johnny Manziel or a Jamarcus Russell who just they didn't have the work ethic, was probably never going to work out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of quarterbacks that were actually that could
That
have
may
been
have.
good. We saw them be good, in college. That could have been good. They never had the circumstances.
I'll throw out a name because you mentioned Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson. That's a guy in the NFL
Yeah.
right now who looked good in college, had the skill set in college, but came to the league and the Jets broke him. And we're seeing that with the Jets
Just like
over and
Darnold.
over. And I mean, it feels like there's almost a consensus growing that organizations fail young players more than young players fail. And so like, and because you see trends in these organizations, it's like, oh, well, you failed this young quarterback and this young quarterback. How about the Browns, for an example? How many quarterbacks have they failed? And like there's different circumstances around their quarterbacks, but Baker's a great example. It's like people wrote off Baker and they had all the regime changes and the roster wasn't great at points, especially when he first got there. And then now once Baker's in a good organization, his career completely changes. Or Darnold gets a good organization in Minnesota, completely fixes Darnold, and now he went to the Seahawks, and he's building off that. He's good once again with Seattle. And then I also forgot the Jets with Geno. The Geno's similar thing.
It's true.
It's
Three
just like
Jets
it's like it is the Jets. It's not the quarterbacks. Like Geno and Darnold and Zach Wilson's a question mark. Who knows if he'll get another opportunity? He's with the Dolphins right now, right? So he very well could this season. But who knows if he'll get another chance. But point being is like, okay, there's a history of it being the organization and not the player.
Yeah, and I was trying to think of more Browns ones. To be honest, they were bad at drafting quarterbacks there for a while. But even Brandon Weeden, though. Brandon Weeden went to Dallas and actually ended up playing pretty well as a backup in relief, way better than he ever played in Cleveland. But like, Johnny was probably doomed from the start. He's an example of a guy that probably couldn't have helped a ton.
But it's also
they
just the
didn't help him either.
organization making yes, it's not the you could argue the Browns haven't failed their quarterbacks as much, but they failed making quarterback decisions. Like, okay, they made the Johnny decision, which was very questionable because of his history, and then the Deshaun Watson decision. You decide to get rid of Baker
And Weeden being a
and
28-year-old
Weeden,
rookie.
exactly. It's like, so it's just it does feel like a pattern of certain organizations failing guys or just making poor decisions. So yeah, Coward makes a great point, but it is just the irony of, and I didn't see that, so I'm glad you did bring that, but the irony of him saying that when he is the one doing it on a weekly basis.
Literally, it's again the SpongeBob meme in the replies literally made me laugh because it was just so on the nose. But and the last point I'll make with it, because it's relevant right now, is the other aspect of, to your point, of organizations failing. Jackson Dart was just named the starter this week for the rest of the season because that's what they do. They're like, it's not a quarterback competition. Somebody has to make a declarative statement. But I think that's another really good example of what leads to these situations where we saw Dart look pretty good in the preseason, like way better than we thought. But now he is getting thrust into a situation that they're basically acknowledging is not good. And coaches and GMs make decisions to save their jobs.
Yep.
And everybody collectively in the media, us as fans, we
sympathize
all
with that.
say this. Yeah, we all say the same thing. That's like, we need to do what's best for the player.
Yep.
Like that would be what's best. But unfortunately,
They don't do
coaches
it.
and GMs they don't have the luxury to do it because at the end of the day, they want to save their job. And now Dart may be the next quarterback in a line of these that gets screwed over because of that.
It's a very astute point, man, because it always happens this way with young quarterbacks. They hardly ever follow the plan. They rush the decision to get them out there for selfish reasons. And I can sympathize with the selfish reason for doing it because you are trying to take care of yourself and your family. And if you're Daboll and you're saying, hey, we need a spark right now. We're 0-3. That's the reason this is happening. Okay. They are 0-3. They need a spark. They want to win a football game because another thing is too, like you can say, it sounds great. Let's have a plan. Let's get them in week 7. Okay. Week 7, week 8. That's the plan. Dude, when you're 0-3, things change because you're losing the morale of the locker room. Okay. You're losing the morale of the locker room. And if you go 0-4, all of a sudden things just get worse and worse and worse. They get more rotten. And like you said, they're trying to save their job. So I get why they do it. But it's not what's best for Dart. It's not what's best for Dart.
No.
What's best for Dart is following the plan and sticking to it instead of thrusting him in against a very difficult defense in the Chargers, by the way. It's not a good matchup for Dart to start against. So yeah, it could be another example of a guy who was rushed into a situation, went away from the plan that they initially put together, and it might hurt his long-term career because of it.
And not to keep going, but like I think Andrew Thomas is back this week, which will help.
Yes.
But I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think that the Packers, for example, were just super lucky when they drafted. There's a lot to say, and Mahomes may have always been Mahomes, but for one, they were also drafted into situations that were better. Lamar and Mahomes both were drafted into playoff teams. They were drafted 2 teams that were literally playoff caliber rosters, and then they blossomed into what they are. And then the Packers drafted 2 times. They drafted quarterbacks in the first round. They were first-round caliber quarterbacks who sat for multiple seasons. And when they went out there, first year of Jordan Love, we were like, this dude looks great. He looks like a top 15, top 10 quarterback already. And I don't think it's a coincidence in the way that they drafted. It's process. And those teams, I mean, again, it comes back to where they were fortunate enough to have had the quarterback to be able to do that and stick to a plan. But it does a disservice to a lot of quarterbacks over the years that they could have been great. They really could have. We just won't know, and it's a shame.
Yeah, true. And you're right. It's not a coincidence. When a good franchise makes good decisions, that's not a coincidence. Like the Packers have, and there is a level of luck involved in having 3 quarterbacks for the last 4 decades. But at the same time, it's like they planned for every single one of them the exact same way. And they will do the exact same thing when Jordan Love, it comes that time where Jordan Love's getting a little older. They'll probably spend a first rounder on a quarterback. And then everybody will be like, well, why didn't you get another weapon for Jordan Love? Like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? I was one of those people in 2020 because I felt like the Packers had a potential Super Bowl contending team, but the Packers had the long-term plan in place, and it was best for Love. It wasn't just best for the Packers. It was what was best for Jordan Love because you get to sit behind a legend who has, done this at a Hall of Fame level for 15 years. So, and yeah, and same thing with the Chiefs, right? Another good organization making a good decision and actually sticking to the plan that they put together for their young quarterback.
And there's multiple examples. I mean, the Packers are a good example where you can still afford to do that and stay competitive because, a lot of teams want to be able to use that first-round draft pick. But, like, think about a couple teams who've been in quarterback purgatory for a bit are the Saints and Steelers, neither of which did it, right? Like, it's not like every team does it, but neither of them drafted a first-round quarterback to sit behind Big Ben and sit behind Drew Brees, and they've kind of been paying the price since. They panic drafted Kenny Pickett because they pigeonholed themselves to have to do that.
And he had to start immediately.
Immediately because they had no plan in place. And so there's good examples like that where it's like teams that could have done it that could be still competitive right now. And the Steelers are, but like we don't feel great about them. And now they're on their like, 3rd or 4th quarterback in the last 3 or 4 years. And yeah, it's just the process and the quarterbacks are the ones at the end of the day that pay the price. Hopefully for Dart's sake, he's good enough to offset it. And hopefully maybe, Russ was just a problem. He did look pretty bad Sunday.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But yeah, I like that one. That was a good one. I'll try to bring something new and hopefully conversational like that. But let's move on now to our picks for the week.
Let's go.
4 picks.
Game picks.
All right. Kicking things off with tonight's game, Thursday Night Football, Seahawks at Cardinals. Cardinals by 1.5. Where are you going?
Seahawks. We talked about this slightly before the pod. I'm surprised they're not the favorite in this game, so I'm going to take them with some points.
Agreed. I've liked more of what I've seen out of the Seahawks, and both of these teams, their only losses to the 49ers, which is interesting, and close gaming like scenario moments as well. So it should be a good matchup. Excited, I have to say it. Excited to see the rivalry uniform tonight.
Oh,
the
heck
field
yes.
looks
Let's
insane
go.
as well. Gotta
Let's
shout that
go.
out. We got our first international game of the year. So the
Hate it.
Vikings and Pittsburgh headed to Dublin, 9:30 a.m. on NFL Network. Vikings by a field goal here.
I'm taking Flores in that defense. I think they're going to run circles around Rodgers.
I don't know why, but I'm believing in Rodgers. I believe the old man will get it done, and
Yeah.
that it's going to be a defensive slugfest.
It is.
I don't think JJ's supposed to play.
No,
But Carson against that defense too. I don't
It's
love
true.
that.
it
could
might be a pick fest.
And dude, if it's raining like the college football game, the
Yeah.
Carmageddon, this could be a disgusting game. to
Yeah, I might sleep in on Sunday.
All right. Now to the 1 o'clock window. Commanders at Falcons. Commanders by 3.5.
This is when spreads started getting dicey for me. I took the Commanders just because the Falcons looked so horrid last week, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Falcons won this game, to be honest with you. I think Jaden is still questionable, but I'll take the Commanders either way because Mariota looked good last week.
Doing the same thing. Yeah, but I very well could see the Falcons pulling this off because the Commanders' defense is still a little iffy out there. This could be an opportunity for the Falcons' offense and Penix to get things rolling at home in the Dome. One of the largest spreads we'll probably see this season, man.
I know.
Saints at Bills. Bills by 16.5.
I might change this before Sunday, okay? This one scared me because this is the first like really large spread of the year. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take Buffalo. I feel horrible about that. I don't know. Yeah. I think they're gonna beat them down pretty badly. I do think the Saints are capable of keeping this within 16.5, but I'll just take Buffalo. Why not?
I'm taking the Saints to keep it within 16. I'm going to believe that they can. I'm honestly, I'm being completely honest. I am banking heavily on some garbage time points. That's what I need here. Garbage time points. So.
Garbage time cover.
The garbage time cover. Moving on to another large line for the week. Browns at Detroit. Detroit by 8.5.
I'm going to take the Lions, man. I'm going to take the Lions in the Dome. I think, Myles Garrett's always going to be a problem trying to figure out how to block him, but the Lions do obviously have a great pair of tackles to do that. So, yeah, I'm going to take the Lions covering this 8.5.
I'm flipping. I'm going to go Browns within 8. I could just see the defense. The defense is literally one of the best in the NFL right now.
Yep.
Lions have looked much better on offense since week 1. But I'm going to give Joe Flacco the chance to, cover with the defense keeping it close.
I like it.
Divisional matchup. Titans 0-3 Titans versus the 0-3 Texans. Texans by 7.5.
Surprised this isn't a Thursday night game. This feels like Thursday night written all over it. I took the Texans, man. I think Cam Ward in that offense is gonna, and apparently Cam Ward's also questionable, but I think they're gonna struggle scoring this week.
Yeah, it's yet another tough defense for Cam Ward and his young career. I think D'Amico Ryans going to feast a little bit against that offensive line, and Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. are going to.
And it
probably
might
have a
be
couple
it
sacks
might be
each.
10-0, by the way. Like that could be the final.
Could.
If you told me that was the final, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, this could also, with the Titans defense, man, could keep it low. This could be a make-right game.
Yeah,
we have no
get
pass
it
rush.
right.
So the offensive line for the Texans, this could be their opportunity to go get some offense on the board. But it could be 24-0. I mean, it really could.
Yeah. I'm going to take 13-0 final.
13-0. Goose egg. Callahan fired after the game?
Hopefully, for your sake.
Oh, all right. This is it. This is an interesting line. So
It's
1 and
tough
2
one.
Panthers at 1 and 2 Patriots. Patriots by 5.5.
You're gonna be surprised. I took the Patriots. I don't know, man. The last week Panthers Falcons that score, I'm just not accepting that result. I don't think that happened. So I do not believe in the Panthers, and I'll take the Patriots by 5.5.
I take the Panthers to keep it within 5. I think the recency bias plays a little bit of a role. I think I'm mainly banking on the Panthers defense that has looked pretty decent, keeping it close. And the Patriots offense is still struggling a little bit. It'll be a low scoring affair, I think. All right. Speaking of Jackson Dart, 3-0 Chargers at the 0-3 Giants. Chargers by a touchdown, by 6.5.
I think Dart could bring a spark, but I could also see this one getting ugly. I'm going to take the Chargers to cover that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it could be a rough outing, and the Giants defense has gotten run through a decent bit, which is shocking because that front four. This could be an interesting one in the trenches with Joe Alt trying to go, at left tackle, looking good, but the rest of the offensive line trying to block that front four for the Giants. But yeah, I like the Chargers to cover here. One of the better matchups of the weekend. It's nice to see when you see the undefeated and the defeated teams play.
Why is this game at 1:00?
It is a very good question.
Should have flexed this
especially
to
when
the
they
Monday
played in
night
the playoffs.
doubleheader.
Oh no, we got to keep the 0-3 matchup there.
Yeah.
So we've got the 3-0 Eagles at the 3-0 Bucks. Eagles by 3.5 on the road, which is interesting. They'd basically be a touchdown favorite on a neutral field, which is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting. I'm gonna take the Bucks, or sorry, the Eagles. I took the Eagles to cover it. I am questioning that pick though, because apparently Tristan Wirfs and Chris Godwin are gonna be back this week. That could be game changing for the Bucks because they've been just surviving without Tristan Wirfs. When he's back, I think this team could be really, really good. So I might change that before Sunday, but right now I'll take the Eagles because they just find a way to cover these spreads.
That's a really good point. Mike Evans is out with a hamstring injury for a couple weeks. So if Godwin is back, that would be perfect timing. But yeah, with Wirfs alone, I agree, could be a difference in this because Graham Barton loved the guy at center, but at left tackle has been rough for him, man.
And it fixes center for them because he gets to move back into center.
True. And they've had issues there because he's not there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm also going with the Eagles, but yeah, if I expect a really good game though. Every time the Eagles and Bucks play, it's good. All right, into the 4:00 window. The Jags, 2-1 Jags at the 3-0, which still feels weird because they've just had a rough journey, man. 3-0 49ers. 49ers by 4.5 here. I think Brock Purdy is also still questionable. I do think it's going to be another Mac Jones game.
I do too. I think it'll also be Mac Jones. This one I'm on the fence on. Another one that I might change before Sunday because I took the Niners, but they've also been winning off like walk-off field goals and stuff. And I just don't believe in the Jags as a team. I think that's why the line is what it is. But yeah, I'll take the Niners for now, but could change it.
Yeah, I agree. The Nick Bosa injury is brutal.
It is.
My defense player of the year before the season is out, and it sucks for him and for that front that they needed him. You know, they were trying to replace in the aggregate a bit with all the draft picks. So, yeah, I think, man, we'll find out for sure this week, but I think the Jags have gotten a little lucky with their schedule and how some games have turned out. So this week we may find out what they are. One of the best matchups of the week. Again, insane to me that, I mean, the 4:00 window has some really good games, to be honest.
Just needs to be more spread out.
It does, man. 3-0 Colts at the 2-1 Rams. Rams by 3.5 here. This is a fascinating game.
It is. I took the Rams. I love the Colts. I'm a Colts fan. If for those that don't know, also, I mean, I do believe in our offense. I think our offense has been super legit this year. But I really like the Rams roster, and they just kind of let that Eagles game slip. If they had held on to that Eagles game last week, Dakota, or if the final field goal wasn't blocked and they hit the final field goal, then I think they would be considered maybe the best team in the league at the moment. So I'm going to go with the Rams to cover this.
Yeah, I could definitely see this is when I may change. I'm taking the Colts to keep it within a field goal right now. But this could be the game where things get a little rough for Danny Dimes just because of that defense and that front. But I'm believing in Danny Dimes and what the offense is to keep this thing close within a field goal. One of the best matchups, again, a 425 window game is also insane for this. And the highlight of this game, so it's 1-2 Ravens, 1-2 Chiefs. One of these teams will be 1-3. It is the Ravens by 2.5 on the road here. Lamar's 5-1 against Mahomes.
Yeah. Wait,
Or
he's
1-5.
5. Yeah,
Sorry.
1-5.
Sorry,
Yeah. Yeah, he has struggled against the Chiefs, man, like mightily. I took the Chiefs to cover it, and I might switch in our other league. I might switch them to win the game as well because I don't know, man. Like Lamar has seriously struggled against the Chiefs historically, but also the Chiefs have looked really, really pedestrian this year. They've not looked good at all, and I just don't think it's something they can snap and fix. But I mean, the storylines out of this game, man, it's going to be intense, especially if it's the Chiefs that go 1-3, dude. Because if it's the Chiefs that go 1-3, do you really believe in them to dig out of that and win that division with the Chargers? I don't. I wouldn't believe in them at that point. The Ravens, a different story because I think their division's a little weaker, so I think they could come back and win the division. But yeah, I took the Chiefs to cover it.
I did as well, and I do kind of think they're going to win. Just because of the history of Lamar versus the Chiefs and it being an Arrowhead. But yeah, this and the Sunday night game, I think are going to fuel a lot of our takes for our show next week.
Yeah.
Because whichever team drops to 1-3, people are going to be saying that they're done, they're toast. Somebody's probably going to call for Andy Reid's job if they're 1-3. Somebody will probably call for John Harbaugh's job.
Oh,
if they're
the
1-3.
Ravens fans are already smacking about Harbaugh, which is crazy, dude. First of all, a lot of the TikTok generation and the Lamar Jackson lovers, they don't even realize Harbaugh won a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco, by the way. Like, he already has a Super Bowl ring with a different quarterback. Come on, dude. And I get it. The blown leads, there is something there. Like, there's something that they need to fix as far as that infrastructure is concerned. But John Harbaugh is a fantastic coach. Come on.
Who would you possibly hire? Again, it comes back to some of the stuff we talk about college football too. It's like, who do you think you're going to hire that would ever be better than that? You'd have to be beyond lucky if it did happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, this should be a great game, and it will fuel all the hot takes next week.
It will.
So.
It really will. It's going to be fun.
What it will be paired with at 425 is the 1-2 Bears at the 1-2 Commanders. Bears by a point Raiders, not Commanders.
Yep.
Bears by 1.5 here on the road.
I took the Bears. I think they have 2 get-right games in a row for their offense, man. I think Ben Johnson's going to cook this Raiders defense.
I agree. I took them as well. And I think it's an opportunity for them. I mean, we just watched Mariota torch them. I think this is an opportunity for Caleb to have back-to-back games where he's feeling really good and that offense is clicking. On Sunday Night Football, the Micah revenge game for both, and the Kenny Clark revenge game.
Yeah.
Green Bay at Dallas. Green Bay by 7.5 on the road here.
Dude, Kenny Clark will get to tell his grandkids that he was traded for Micah Parsons. I mean, that's going to be one of the greatest stories ever. And they're not going to believe him either. I took the Packers to cover this. I mean, I think it's going to get ugly quick. Micah, there's no one on the field on Sunday that's going to be able to block Micah Parsons. And then I also think, Jordan Love and the Packers historically over the last few years have done really well against this Dallas defense. So, and this is the Micah Parsons-less Dallas defense. So I definitely like the Packers to win this matchup big.
I agree. I have them covering as well. And it is ironic because it is also the game that everybody, the revenge game, pointing to that playoff game of the one Micah didn't show up in, right?
Oh, yeah.
The Packers game where they got blown out in the wild card. He didn't show up for that. So it will be, it's going to, according to Skip Bayless, it'll be such poetic justice if we do leave this game and Micah has like 12 pressures and 3 sacks.
Can you imagine the Skip video? We might have to just do like a full 30-minute segment on the 20-minute Skip video where he's throwing the Micah jersey in the trash and everything. Like, that's going to be a generational meltdown after that game.
And the either way too, and then if he has 0 sacks but does have like 13 pressures, he doesn't care. Skip doesn't care about pressure stat.
Oh no,
But if he has 0
no.
sacks,
That's a made up stat, Skip.
even if they lose by 30, they'll still be doing the victory laps on the Micah Parsons trade. So, especially if Josh Jacobs doesn't rush really well. See, look, they stopped the run.
Yeah, Kenny Clark made the difference.
But he made a difference in the run game, man. All right, on to the just unfortunate. I don't know what they were thinking when they scheduled some of these Monday night games. The other one should have been good. It would have been a good game without injury, but 0-3 Jets versus the 0-3 Dolphins. Dolphins by field goal at home. I hate that I have to pick a team to win this, but
it's gonna be a tough watch. I'll just say that it's gonna be a tough watch.
Rivalry uniforms. Tune in for that.
Okay, that'll be interesting.
The Dolphins.
I took the Dolphins to cover it because their offense has actually started to look better outside of Tua just like making awful decisions here and there. His CT getting to him every once in a while. Also, I don't believe in the Jets. Like we kind of predicted that week 1 was a little bit of a mirage. And apparently they're thinking about going to Tyrod Taylor. They're not like committed to Justin Fields starting even when he's healthy, which would make no sense to me. I think you need to see what you have in Fields and more of that before Tyrod Taylor. I mean, come on, like Tyrod is a good spot starter. He really is.
Yeah.
But like we don't need more Tyrod Taylor reps in 2025, man. Like let's see what you have in Fields, please.
Yeah, he's listed as questionable, and he did practice today. So we'll be curious to see if Fields is out there. My logic was I kind of was thinking Fields wouldn't be. I agree, though. The Dolphins' offense looked better, especially last week against the Bills. So I took them to cover by a field goal, and my logic was if Tyrod was out there, you did just get a pretty good game out of him, so this one would probably be not as good. But even if Fields is out there, this will probably be a tough watch. But the Dolphins' offense could be clicking here. This game's also going to have some narratives. One side, you need Aaron Glenn to get his first win. Dropping to 0-4 kind of sucks. 0-4 for the Dolphins. Pretty much all, but it's all but fired and fire sale as well, where you may see dudes getting traded here soon. So
true. Yeah, Tyreek will be a Chief before long.
Yeah, I've seen the Jalen Phillips. Check to Mike mention that. That's an error because I feel like he would be a little expensive to somebody because he's still a very good edge rusher. But who?
Oh yeah, he said to the Niners. I don't know if the Niners can afford.
I don't know if they would use
Phillips.
that. Yeah, that capital for him. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. But that'd be an interesting one. And then this is a game that should have been good. This would have been good if Burrow wasn't hurt.
Yeah.
But the 2-1 Bengals against the 1-2 Broncos. Broncos by 7.5. They don't believe in old Jake Browning.
This is the Bo Nix get right game. I think Bo Nix has been horrendous this year. I mean, I cannot overstate how bad Bo Nix has been. And if you're a box score watcher, you won't even realize it. But if you watch the football games, then you see all the dropped interceptions and the overthrows. But I still took the Broncos to cover because, my Lord, and I know it was the Flores defense, but man, Jake, a 48-10 ass whipping can really like just set a tone for a guy in his season. And I think that will be the case for Jake Browning. So, and I also really believe in the Denver defense, by the way, as well. So I went ahead and took them to cover.
Man, I originally had the Bengals, and my logic was that there's always two ways I think games like that can go. It's like you spiral after that game, or it's like they figure it out a little bit. But to your point, it's like you go from exactly. And but at the same time, it's like you did just go from Brian Flores, who clearly wrecked that offensive line. And now you get Vance Joseph and Nick Bonito with the fastest get off and one of the best defensive fronts
against
in the NFL.
Those slow tackles, by the way, those big slow tackles. Nick Bonito's gonna eat, brother.
Jake Browning may not make it through the game.
No.
I like the Broncos to cover as well, and it could be an opportunity, like your point, for Knicks to get right, because Bengals defense is still not great. But it's hard to not imagine the Broncos defense feasting in this game. Nick Bonito he's going to take probably a solidified lead in the sack total for the season after this. He's going to have some untouched sacks. He's going to have some, to your point, he's going to have untouched sacks in this game, like he had last week.
Exactly. If Joe Alt can't get to him, do you really think Orlando Brown's getting to him? Like 400-pound Orlando Brown? That's not happening. Yeah, exactly, dude. Come on.
All right, that wraps up this week, and I forgot, I was supposed to do this at the beginning, forgot, but was going to give an update on our totals for the season.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, so Austin is in the lead. It's a spread, man. It's brutal. But Austin is in the lead with a 27-21 record, which is pretty solid, to be honest.
It's dude.
I think
It's
the Mike's thing, like
it's already giving us credit for the Seattle game. Why does it do that?
It is bizarre. Like it gives you the point just because I guess they're covering as of right now. So it's just like
they're 2 drives.
You're doing
into the
great
game.
right now. Technically, we're winning. But Austin's 27-21 on the season, and I am 25-23. So my goal is to just stay positive, man.
At least you're not Steve. He's got like 17 wins right
16. Now. Yeah. His 10-year-old, so people that don't listen to Check the Mic, his 10-year-old son is out doing him
exactly
against the spread right now.
And he is not happy about it, so it could always be worse, man.
He's ready to stop doing them completely. Ready to call it.
Exactly.
Oh, all right, man. Well, Thursday Night Football has started about 6 minutes in. I just got to say the rivalry uniforms do look good. These Sand Cardinals, whatever they call them, they look really good. Field looks awesome. Anything else, man, you want to touch on before we wrap up here?
No, man. Good show. This is a fun show. I like the format now that we got going on this one. And yeah, fun trying to fight back against the takes and then little game picks. I like it.
Yeah, agreed, man. And hopefully, appreciate anybody that tuned in live, anybody that watches afterwards. We appreciate all the support as usual. Please like, share, subscribe, follow us on Instagram and Facebook and stuff too, please. We've been posting a lot of clips and stuff on there as well. A little bit more consumable than on YouTube. But appreciate it all the support nonetheless. And yeah, this show's a lot of fun. So hopefully as we go throughout the season, we'll get a little bit more steam and have some people join us and chat. We are live Thursdays at 7 like this, and then Mondays at 6. That is our recurring schedule now. So we'll be back Monday for our recap show of week 4. So yeah, looking forward to this weekend of games. But until next time.
Thanks for talking ball with us.